All right, so we're live right now, and of course, I'm super excited to actually be here this evening. I actually got an incredible guest here with us, Johnnie Davis, and so let me go ahead and start this thing off right properly, guys. Of course, this is Relentless Movers podcast, and of course, we actually highlight some of the best, the cream of the crop, and the drip of the drop from all over the world. And so let me talk to you guys real quick about who we are, what we do. Again, what is Relentless Movers, guys? We help struggling entrepreneurs and individuals by creating tools and a custom roadmap to gain more clarity and achieve real-time success. And so let's get right into it. We're not going to belabor the moment, but listen, I've actually had my eye on this gentleman for a long time as far as getting him on this show because I know what he brings to the table. And in fact, I had an opportunity to speak with him for about an hour this morning or afternoon. And of course, guys, it was so impactful for me. So I know what you're going to get. This gentleman actually spoke to me for about an hour, and I swear it felt like we were already in the interview. And I said, guys, they probably missed the best part earlier today. Would you agree?
I think so.
So here's the thing, guys. Real quick, let me go ahead and introduce my partner here. He's known all over the world as an individual who's made six figures in the industry of home-based business. He's helped other people hit six figures, which again means that not only has he been successful, but he's created successors, and that's really the judgment of real success is when you can help other people do the same, if not better. So again, Johnny, how you doing, sir?
Outstanding. How are you, sir?
Fantastic, fantastic. And again, this is round two. So, so we're going to try to capture a little bit of what we talked about earlier. And as I always do these, podcast lives, I always like to go back in time, way back. So if you could start us off, tell us a little bit about who you are, your name, who you are, and where you're from, and then how it led to where you are now.
Okay. Wow. Well, that's a lot. So
That's a lot. That's right.
I'll give you the condensed version. But as you said, my name is Johnnie Davis, and I'm born and raised in Newark, New Jersey, and I actually relocated down here to Charlotte, North Carolina, back in 2005. And so, but like I said, from New Jersey, graduated from Rutgers University, have my degree in marketing, graduated from the School of Business. And I got my start in the corporate field, in the corporate world. I started off in the health insurance industry. And so I was the one who actually went and created your medical benefits and things of that nature, and went to different companies and met with third-party administrators and such. And, I would develop your vision, dental, medical, so on and so forth. And so I evolved into that level. I started in the health insurance industry in 94. So by the time 99 rolled around, that was the last role that I had. And so I got started part-time while I was working full-time, I got started part-time in the space of direct sales and network marketing. I can remember one of the main reasons why I did that is because I was sitting at my desk one day at work, and I was just looking around all the people I was surrounded with. And a lot of these people were just older than me. They were old enough to be my mom or dad. And I was like 24 years old at the time. And I can remember saying to myself, just after listening to all these people just whine and moan and complain about the job, and, oh my gosh, I don't want to be here. Oh, I can't wait to retire, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was just like a miserable place for them. And I'm hearing this every day as a young man. And I can remember sitting at my desk one day and I'm like, wow, if I have to do this, if that's what I have to look forward to for the next 40 years, if I have to do this right now, for the next 40 years, someone should just come and just kill me right now. Just end it. Just end the misery. And so I got started in the space of network marketing. A friend of mine said, hey, there's an opportunity taking place at this guy's house. They're going to be talking about long distance and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I was young, I was hungry, I was green. I didn't know what they were talking about. I showed up at the house, got started in this company called ACN, spent 4 years there. Didn't make a ton of money in that company, but what I did was I learned a lot about the industry of network marketing. And that also started my journey on personal development. I mean, I really dove head deep in the space of personal development. So I evolved and started to change the way I thought. I learned how to go out and get a job when I graduated from a school of business, but I never learned how to become an entrepreneur. And so that first experience with that company gave me the foundation that I needed in order for me to evolve and become the person that took me to another opportunity in which I was able to join that company. And by the age of 31 years old, I was able to retire from corporate America.
Nice. So let's stop right there real quick, because you already said a mouthful already. That could probably bless a lot of people. Just on the first part that you said, you were green. But one thing that you said is that you dove head in, right? Like head first. You dove in and you went and you found out that, hey, I need to get on personal development. I need to become who I need to become, the person, so that I can attract the people that I want to, attract to me. So talk to us from that perspective in your first company. Like, what were some of the I guess trials for you? Like, what were some of the things that kind of like, did you ever want to quit? What were some of the things that, again, helped you to kind of move forward, and stay the course of network marketing? What made you stay in network marketing from that first level?
Well, what made me stay is because, number one, I was young and I was hungry, and I was coachable. I learned early on, in order for me to be successful, I have to do what the successful people do and stick with it. And that was drilled into my mind, drilled into my head. Even though I wasn't making a ton of money, I was growing a team and I had sporadic success, but my mentors kept telling me, stay the course, read more and work on yourself. Develop this skill. You have to work on developing these different skills. See, the misconception is that people, just because you get started in a company, that automatically you're going to be successful, money's going to rain out of the sky, and you're going to attract all of these wonderful individuals that's going to help you explode. And that's just not the case. I was not that influential individual. I was young. And I followed every step that my mentors and my leaders told me to do, because I didn't know any better, right? And I wanted what they had, and I wasn't going to quit. That was just, I'm not built that way. I'm not wired that way. Some people, when they get involved in something, they already have an exit strategy. And for me, when I got started in that, I didn't have an exit strategy. I was like, it's gonna work. I'm going to figure this out until it does. And that's what the mindset was drilled into me. You figure it out until it does, because if you stick and stay long enough, you're definitely going to get your pay. You just got to wait your turn. You just got to wait your turn. But while you're waiting your turn, still feed your mind, feed your brain, develop different skills, and then the universe will conspire to bring necessary resources and people and things to you, but you got to stay the course. So I was just so fixated on becoming successful and having what my mentors had and creating that lifestyle that they've all had, that I was just, call it young and naive, call me dumb enough not to quit. I mean, I so badly that I was going to do whatever I had to do for as long as I needed to do it until it manifested.
Now let's talk this. So when you finally got your breakthrough, you started having a lot of success. And again, this wasn't in the first company, right? It was in the second company. Am I right?
Second company, right. First company, okay. Second company, it all came together, and I was that individual. Different opportunity, different compensation plan, and then it exploded.
Exactly. So talk to me from that perspective of finally for coming together, but also hitting the top pinnacle positions in a company, growing a huge organization, and then, of course, it all disappearing. Let's talk about that.
Well, I enjoy success. As I mentioned, I got started in the second company in 2001. In 2003, I was able to walk away from the job. Because here's the thing I never did, even in my first company, I never quit my job. And this is I want to share with people, because sometimes folks, they leave their job too soon and they find themselves in a company struggling. And it all depends on what advice you take or whose advice you take. Because, you can go to a meeting or you can be on a Zoom now and you'll listen to your leader and they're telling you, walk away from your six-figure job. You got to cut the strings. You got to jump off the bridge. Do all these different things. Meanwhile, you got a mortgage. You have car insurance to pay for. You got groceries to buy. You have children that you have to take care of. And these individuals are telling you, go quit your job and do this. And so I never did that. I was smart enough to know, even though I wanted to be successful, I was smart enough to know, Johnny, you got bills. This business is not paying the type of revenue yet. So don't be stupid. Be smart. And I did that. And so it took me 6 years to get to the point where I can retire. But when I did so, I wasn't stressing. You know, I didn't have any bills, and I made sure that all the extra income that I was generating, that I paid off any debt that I had. So when I did walk away, when I did say, all right, I'm done, I'm going to pursue this opportunity full time, I did so with zero debt, zero bills. You know, my car was paid for, and I had no credit card debt. You know, I didn't owe anybody anything. So I was able to start from with a clean slate. So I enjoyed that success and built the organization to over 14,000 people. And I relocated down here to, as I mentioned earlier, to North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina in 2005. And things were going fantastic. Things were going great. You know, I started to buy some real estate investments and things of that nature. My mindset was, I'm going to parlay the money that I'm generating right now into other opportunities, because I was taught by my mentors in the previous company, as you start to make more money, you let your money start to work for you. So you find different things you can invest your money into, real estate, and so on and so forth. So at that time, during that time, the real estate market was very, very robust, especially down here in the Charlotte markets. When I came here, I went and bought some different properties and such, and I was setting myself up for future success.
Right.
And unbeknownst to me, toward the end of 2005, around I would say late November 2005, I had gone to this executive retreat with some of my leaders in that company. We were hanging out in Destin, Florida. And I can remember, after spending several days there, leaving there feeling really, really sick. I mean, extremely, extremely sick. And I had no idea, what was going on. I had these bad feelings of indigestion, shortness of breath. I was just getting tired, and I didn't know exactly what the situation was. And so, I felt like whatever it was, I can buy some over-the-counter medication, and maybe that'll resolve it, because it felt like indigestion.
Yeah.
And fast forward, came back to Charlotte from that retreat, and I was just getting sicker and sicker by the day. And unfortunately, it was just crazy. I finally went to the doctor, and I was misdiagnosed as having a peptic ulcer. So they put me on this regimen of antibiotics to get this H. pylori bacteria out of my system that everybody has, right? But for most people, it just lies dormant in your system. And they were telling me that, well, for whatever reason, yours is active. And I'm like, well, I've never had any stomach issues whatsoever, so I don't understand what the problem is. I've been a picture perfect health. I'm in the gym all the time.
Right.
I've never used any illegal drugs. I never smoked anything a day in my life. So I was doing all the right things. That was always my lifestyle. So for me to get this diagnosis of, oh, you got a peptic ulcer, I'm like, okay, whatever. All right. So I started taking that antibiotic regimen, and it just made me worse. I got sicker and sicker. Fast forward, I go to the hospital. A friend of mine at the time takes me to the hospital because they had come to check on me, because they noticed I was just like looking like death warmed over. Because by this time, I'm so sick that I'm not leaving my house. I'm not going out. They didn't see me at the meetings anymore. They were like, well, what happened to Mr. Davis? He just came down here, got off to a fast start, and he just disappeared. What happened to him? So I got sicker. A friend took me to the hospital. This was in February of 2006. I just turned 34 years old. And when I got there, they told me that I was 24 hours away from expiring, because whatever the issue that I had, they told me that it's not in your stomach. So they ran a battery of tests, and the next day they told me that I had congestive heart failure. Now, let me just say this, congestive heart failure is a very, very serious and can be fatal form of heart disease. And again, I never in my life been sick like that. Ever.
Right.
Ever. You know, when I say athlete, football player, I played football, basketball growing up. I mean, I was always in the gym working out. No drugs. I never smoked anything. I've never been a big drinker. I've never done anything to abuse my body to get my heart in that shape where it would. So when I was given that diagnosis, I was like, what in the hell is going on? Like my mind was blown and my whole world was turned upside down. And so after that, it took a while for me to kind of like recover because my heart was only functioning at 8% capacity. So, you know, because you've had some journeys of your own. And so for the viewers that are watching this, I'm going to give you a picture, a demonstration of what my heart was doing. So when the doctor told me that my heart was functioning at 8% capacity, he said, a normal heart squeezes like this. Mine was doing this. It was barely moving. And he said that your heart right now is the size of 2 hearts. And if we can't get your heart to shrink back down to a normal size, that you're going to need a heart transplant. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. Time out.
Right.
Time out. I'm 34 years old, dude. What are you talking about heart transplant? I've never been sick. You know, there's no history of anyone in my family that has any type of heart issues whatsoever. So how could this happen? I'm the youngest one in the cardiac ward, and I have no family here because I'm from New Jersey. I relocated here by myself. I'm not married at the time. So you mean to tell me that you're going to take the heart I have out of my chest right now, and you're going to replace it with somebody else's heart that I don't know? That's what you're telling me. He said, well, that's going to be your option. I'm like, well, what's the other option? So he gave me all these other options of, well, we can try to find the right combination of medication for you to see if that works. But I'm going to be honest with you. We don't know how this is going to work. And we don't know how how this is going to work in your favor or if it's going to work in your favor. But it's the only thing that we can do to try right now, because you're so young and you're otherwise healthy. We can hopefully try to find the right combination of medication to help get you back on track. And so that was the beginning of me just like trying to get back on track. And I got to tell you, Koyo, that was the absolute worst period in my life. That was the hardest time in my life, because I literally had to take off an entire year to get better because my heart was so weak and so bad. And the medication, it took a while for them to figure out the right combination. So I was functioning around 10, 15% for months. I couldn't walk long distances without getting tired. I was still retaining fluid and things of that nature. So it was bad. It was really, really bad during that time.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because, and I know that the story itself isn't a story to smile about, but I'm only smiling because how similar it is to my story. I remember being in the office with the doctor, and he did the same thing about how my heart was moving, and I was like, oh wow, you know, and just understanding that, you know, it just made it real.
Yeah.
And so real quick, so this happens to you. And of course, I know the story goes on. I mean, you actually wrote a book about it, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But let's talk about what happens from there, because you had this thriving business.
Mm-hmm.
You've just been told that you have congestive heart failure.
Mm-hmm.
You've never been sick. You had to take off for a year, so you didn't have any new income coming in, new money. And so there's all this stuff is going on around you, and you really had no control over what the body was doing at that time. So what was it? What really kicked in to really help you to, I guess, get through this period? And then obviously you started getting through that period, but then something else happened. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you talk about having a situation that will bring you closer to God, because, you know, oftentimes when things are going so great in our lives, we don't really, some of us, I'm not going to make a blanket statement and say all of us, but some of us, we kind of forget where those blessings come from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're going through a serious challenge in your life like that, ooh, you get introduced to God. You start having these conversations with the Lord like you would never believe, you know? So it was like, I could laugh about it now, but ooh.
Yeah.
So yeah, you talk about getting closer to God and relying on Him, you know, and praying a lot. Also, I had to really remember, Takoyo, all of that training and that personal development
Mm-hmm.
people like to kind of share and memes and stuff like that today. You had to really apply those things when it came to the process of rewiring my subconscious mind
That's right.
and reframing what was happening at that time. I had to start to apply those principles, and that's what I actually teach people. You know, how to transform their thinking, right? And I also, thankfully, I had some friends that were checking up on me because once they knew what was going on, oh, I had frequent visitors coming to my home, making sure that I had food, making sure that I didn't need anything, you know, making sure that I was able to get all of my needs attended to. My friends were calling me regularly, my mom and everybody calling me. So I had a strong support system that helped me during that period as well, because it was something that was it was too much to bear for one person. It was a lot for one person to bear. But as I started to kind of get my health back on track and I moved from 8% to 39%, you know, we talked about this in terms of my heart function. I'm still heart failure, but 39% functional. So I was able to start going back to the meetings, and I was able to start, you know, doing presentations. And I was able to start building my business again. And then as soon as I started to make traction, the real estate market crashed. So all of my real estate properties that I had at the time and the ventures that I was investing in, since the market crashed, I lost everything. I lost my real estate businesses, my properties, and I had this major property deal that I was working on in Atlanta at the time, and that fell through. And
Wow.
it caused me, because it was so crazy during that time, I had to file bankruptcy. Because I just, the bottom fell out of everything. And so I'm just like, wow, I'm recovering from heart failure. I mean, I literally went from here in my life when I first moved here, flying to like hitting the valley, just like that, losing my health, losing money, everything. Because let me back up for a second. All the money that I generated while I was at the peak, I used every single dime of that to pay for my medical bills. Because at that time, I didn't have something as important as health insurance.
Wow.
So I had to pay all of my medical bills out of my pocket. I had to pay $700 a month in prescriptions because I didn't have a prescription card. So when people don't understand the struggle and the journey from a financial aspect, when you're physically unable, you're emotionally distraught, you're losing all of your investments, and on top of that, your account is running dry because you're going to the doctor, and every doctor's visit is $500 because you're going to a specialist. And then you have to get more medications. Your resources will dry up quickly.
That's right.
And I had to restructure some things, and I had to start all over again. So by the grace of God, I was able to do that. And again, once I was able to restructure some things, I got back into the game, started building my business again. I mean, with a reckless abandon, and I just went hard.
Yes.
I just went as hard as I possibly could, because at that point it was like, well, either you give up and die, like literally die, or you come out fighting. You know, and I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, and so there's no quit in me.
It's what we do.
You know, this is what we do. Listen, even with all this personal development, if I didn't learn anything throughout my life's journey, I learned how to survive.
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to not quit. So there's not a quit in me. So I came out swinging. and I was able to gain some traction and move the needle forward again. Things started to kind of look up from that point.
Well, good stuff. And so, again, I know there was another setback as well. I think this happened after that, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I know we were talking, and you said basically that you had died.
Yeah.
And so if you could speak to us from that, like just knowing that happened and what the experience was for you coming back and building back from that.
Yeah. So in 2012, Christmas Eve of 2012, the unimaginable happened. But here's what happened. I need to take you back a month before that. So between 2006 and 2012, I went through the bankruptcy, the restructuring, and all those things. I started to kind of build my business back up. And then I go to the doctor and I get some really bad news. So this is like right before Thanksgiving. I go to the cardiologist to go get my echocardiogram results. And I'm fired up because I just left the gym and I'm like, ooh, I know my heart is good. I had a great workout and I'm feeling pumped. I'm feeling good. My wife and I, we went there because we got married in 2010, right? So she went with me to this doctor's appointment and the doctor sat both of us down and he said, Johnny, listen, I have some news. And I'm like, well, what's going on? Because normally he had this big smile on his face, but he had a serious look of concern this time. And he says to me, he said, your ejection fraction has decreased from 39% down to 25%. And right now you need a pacemaker defibrillator in your chest. I said, really? He said, yes. He said, your heart is functioning on fumes. I said, I feel great. I just left the gym. I'm feeling fantastic. I'm asymptomatic. I'm not retaining any fluid or anything like that. I'm good. He was like, your body is functioning on muscle memory. You've been doing this so long that your body's just functioning on muscle memory and you're on fumes. You need a pacemaker defibrillator in your chest today because you can go into cardiac arrest at any time. You can be at a red light and just fall asleep and don't wake up. You can go to sleep tonight and not wake up. I've seen this happen time and time again over the past, at that time, 13 years for him as a cardiologist. He said, I don't want to see it happen for you. But he said, here's the problem. I said, what's the problem? He said, you need this device, but your insurance company won't pay for it. Now I had insurance, right? Insurance company won't pay for it. I said, well, why not? He said, because you're 40 years old, you're asymptomatic, and basically if you were coming in here with symptoms and you just couldn't walk or what have you, then I can make an argument as to why you would need that device and they'll cover it. But right now they won't cover it. And I said, well, how much is it going to cost? He said, it's going to cost you about the same amount of money as a luxury vehicle. And that's not including the doctor's fees and the labs and all the other things associated with that. So you're looking at well over 6 figures to have this procedure done.
Wow.
Man, I don't have an extra 6 figures just lying around in my bank account for insurance. I mean, for surgery when I have insurance to cover it. So I said, what are my options? So you don't really have any options. You need this device because if you don't get it, there's going to be a tragedy in your household. So I went to another cardiologist and looked at my medication to see, well, what other medication can I get? Can we try? And so this other cardiologist, he prescribed some different medication for me and increased the dosage. And I began to take that. He said, well, we'll monitor you over the course of the next 30 days to see how your body responds. And if it responds favorably, then okay, maybe we can kind of get past the need to have this device implanted in your chest. I said, okay, great. Sounds good to me. So just about a month later, maybe a little less than a month later, because this was right before Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve of 2012, I went into sudden cardiac arrest. Just as the doctor predicted. I went into sudden cardiac arrest and my heart stopped for over 16 minutes. So I was dead, like dead doorknob, dead. And my wife said I reached over and shook her, and she thought I was having a bad dream, and she called my name, and she noticed that I didn't respond. And so she immediately woke up and turned on the lights and saw that my eyes were rolling in the back of my head. And she began to administer chest compressions on me in the bed. Now, you know, if you're administering chest compressions or CPR on anybody, they should be on the hard surface, not the bed. But she couldn't,
Right.
you know, I'm 218 pounds. You know, she couldn't pick me up and place me on the bed and begin doing chest compressions. So she witnessed me literally take my last breath in her hands and die. And there were 4 firemen that came over to my home. Each one of them did 300 chest compressions on me. And then they shocked me 6 times with a defibrillator. They worked on me for over 40 minutes. They told me that I began to breathe on my own, but I never regained consciousness. And I coded on the way to the hospital. I coded in the hospital. And they said to my wife that if I survive, because they weren't very optimistic at all, but if I were to survive, that I was going to be a vegetable. Because there was so much time that elapsed without me having any oxygen to the brain that they just were not sure. They had no idea what was going to happen to me. But they were preparing her to be my caregiver.
Mm.
So the absolute worst of the worst did happen. And I did have my, you know, near-death experience, and I talk about that in the book as well. And, you know, I can share that at a different time. You know,
Right.
people like to ask, well, what happened? What happens when you die? What did you see? You know, and I'll share that at another time, because I know we should time here. But that that did occur. That did happen. And I spent 2 days in a coma. I spent 9 days in the hospital. And when I came home from the hospital, it took a while for my mind, my brain to reboot, because there was some, not necessarily brain damage, but I did have pockets of time in my memory. I did have memory loss. Like, I didn't recognize, once I got outside of the hospital room, I didn't recognize where the hospital was located. I didn't recognize the highway. I didn't recognize my house until we walked in the house. And I saw our pictures on the mantle. Because as we were walking in the house, I'm like, we live here? And she, yes. And I'm like, when I see pictures on the mantle of us, I mean, everything just looked totally like just foreign to me. And it just took a while for me to kind of reboot. And I was very weak again, very weak. My ejection fraction, it dipped from 25%. I have this device in my chest now, but now I'm back at square one. I'm back at 15%. 2012.
Crazy. So we definitely have to say this for another conversation, because I want to hear more about it. But I know it's in the book too. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that too as well. But let's talk about where you went from there, because obviously there's light at the end of the rainbow, right? That gold or that pot, right? There's success at the end of everything that you went through, because obviously we wouldn't be having this conversation if it wasn't, right?
Right.
And so let's talk about, like, you know, from going from that, what took place, what happened, how did you go from that to writing a book, to speaking on stages, to making 6 figures, to go into a corporate position, a company, helping other people all over the world build their businesses. So let's go ahead and go and transition to now how we got back to that.
Okay, awesome. So as I try to figure out, I'm back at square one, and I had to come up with a game plan. I kind of had to figure out exactly what I was going to do moving forward. I had to reinvent myself, if you will. I had to start all over again from scratch. I got started with another company in the health and wellness space, and I began using their products to kind of help get me back on track physically, because I was having difficulty keeping food down. You know, after recovering from the sudden cardiac arrest, I went through a period where, you know, for whatever reason, it was just hard for me to keep food down. So I started using this company's products, drinking the shakes and stuff like that. And it really helped regulate my system, kind of put me back in homeostasis. And I was able to kind of get back on track physically. And I started to like, wow, I started to feel good. And we actually turned that into a business opportunity. And we built a huge team because I'm a networker, right?
Right.
So when you have something that's working for you, you share it. And that's what I did. You know, I just shared with people, you know, how it was helping me get healthy. And we built a huge organization from that. And then we transitioned from that company back in 2017. And that's when I released my book. I began writing the book in 2010, but I didn't release the book until 2017.
So
Exactly.
what held you back from doing it?
Well, you know, well, like when I started writing the book, I began writing it just because it was therapeutic for me, because I didn't go through any type of what do you call it, like not rehab, but therapy. I didn't go to any type of therapy. And you know, when you have a traumatic situation like like the one you and I had, right? This is a really traumatic, emotionally traumatic situation for many people, and it can really spiral into depression. I mean, really, really quick. And I didn't do that. I went to a couple of workshops, and I was the youngest person there, and it was just like a big whining and complaining fest. That's what I saw. You know, oh, these people were talking about how much medication they were taking, how terrible they were feeling, and blah blah blah. I didn't want to hear that. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I need to be around the people that are okay, that are well, because I want to get well. I don't want to be sick. So I started writing about it. I started journaling, and then I started to kind of like really kind of put things together. And then I put it down because I had, you know how you have the devil on one shoulder and God on the other shoulder? And the
Right.
devil telling me like, man, no one's going to read that story. Who's going to care about that? You know, you're not the only person who had heart failure. Like you're not special. Nobody wants to hear that story. Nobody wants to hear that crap. And I put it down. And then I had a friend of mine that said, listen, you have an incredible story, and you need to share that with everybody. You need to let everybody know what your journey has been like, what you did specifically to overcome those challenges, and show them exactly how they can do it too. You know, this story, your journey is just not for you. It's for other people as well. Just like your gifts, Johnny, your gifts are just not for you. Your gifts are for the world. And so when I heard it that way, I was like, okay. And I got really focused. I got really serious, and I finished the book in 30 days, and I released it in 2017. And then I started to speak in different locations. I started doing free inspirational, motivational speeches, you know, just kind of sharing my journey of what happened with me. And I started sharing principles of how you can get your mindset and change your mindset to help you overcome whatever obstacle or challenges you're dealing with, whether it's something that's emotional, spiritual, physical, you know, whatever it is. You know, everybody's Goliath is going to come in different forms, but the methodology to overcome that Goliath, the principles are the same. They're the same,
Right.
you know, when it comes to transforming your mind. And so I started to spread that message, and you know, it led from one speaking engagement to another speaking engagement, and I was able to build a great platform, you know, from that. And I felt the tug to get back into the industry, but I wanted to do it from a different perspective. You know, I wanted to do it from a perspective of like not necessarily being in the field building. I just didn't. I felt like I didn't have the. Even though I felt fantastic and I felt great, I didn't have that oomph
Right. Right.
and grind and hustle, you know, like I once did before. But I had so much knowledge that I wanted to share with everyone because of what I had gone through. So I wanted to share it from a different perspective. And so I was actually suggested when this company was looking for a national director of sales, and I was tapped on the shoulder to be that for this company. And it didn't even exist at the time. It was just an idea, and we came together and we put it all together, and we have our our company. So right now I'm serving as the National Director of Field Development, for that company. But that's how it all came together. And, so it was just going from making a solid plan to reinventing myself, coming and deciding exactly what that was going to look like.
Yeah.
Writing the book, and I subsequently had an opportunity to be a co-author on another book called Cardiac Athletes. And this book it's 25 of us, 25 authors that contributed to this project, and also 2 cardiologists, and all these people that are sharing their journeys of overcoming their different heart challenges. It's about 526 pages, but it's a book of inspiration that's being read by people all over the world as well. And so now I have different people, different companies, different platforms reaching out because they want to hear the story. And I have been called as a beacon of hope and possibility. I've been described as a source of hope and inspiration for people. And you know what? I am perfectly fine being referred to as that. I consider myself merely as just being a candle, and I'm just going to try to light as many wicks as I possibly can, because that's the candle doesn't lose any of its fire or shine by lighting others, and that's what I want to do, and that's what I do on a daily basis. So I get a chance to do it from different ways, different aspects. I can do it in the direct sales network marketing space as a corporate executive. I can do it as a speaker. I can do it as a person who appears on different TV programs or different medical platforms or what have you, to share my story and share my journey. Because, we need multiple ways of getting the message out there. And today we have so many opportunities to do that. So now my heart, I'm happy to say, is functioning at 57%.
Ooh.
So my ejection fraction is back to normal. I still have my device, but it's just there, just taking pictures. I've never gotten shocked or never gotten paced or anything like that. Nice. So it's there, and so I can say, God has been good. This journey has been hard but fair, and I continue to wake up every day with so much energy and passion, and just naturally being fired up to help as many people as I possibly can. Maybe it's with an opportunity, maybe it's with a word of encouragement. They read my book, or they read my books, or they read an article that's in Health Monitor magazine, or they're going to see this new campaign that's going to come up with WebMD in the next couple of months as well, because I just finished filming that segment as well. Nice. So they're going to see all these different things, and it's just a way for me, thank God, to reach the masses of people, to let them know what's possible. I love to be an example of what's possible.
Absolutely. So real quick, because again, we talked about the story, and it's definitely compelling. And I believe a lot of people are going to be touched by it. And so what I want to do is, I would love for you, if you don't mind, even if we just wait until after this is over and you want to go in later and put it in the comments, because I want you to put down the link for your book. First of all, where they can get it from. And if you want to just kind of verbally say it real quick here, where you can find the book or books.
You can actually get it. You can get both books directly from Amazon. So you can go to Amazon.com and just type in "I'm Still Here: From Heart Failure to Heart of a Champion," and you can get it directly right there.
Nice. Now, I know you love helping people, and being a corporate official in a home-based business company. You have a responsibility to grow the sales force. You have a responsibility to grow the company. So I know you want to talk to people from a perspective of, hey, listen, if you're looking for a home, if you're looking for somewhere to get started, maybe you've never done a home-based business. Maybe because of this pandemic, your mind's become more open to that opportunity, or for that means of career. So if you want to talk to the folks for that, like, what company are you involved in, and then how can they reach out to you to get started with that company? or to
Absolutely.
get more information?
Absolutely. Well, our company's called Esprita, Esprita. You can go to esprita.com to look at the website to see all of the different products and things that we have. But we produce all natural, non-GMO, botanically based herbal supplements and nutraceuticals to help with specific issues that people are dealing with today. We have about 41 different products that you can choose from. Whatever person or people may be dealing with, whatever their ailments and issues maybe that they're dealing with, they can utilize these nutraceuticals to help in these particular areas. Now, we're not saying that they're going to be used to treat any particular disease or illness or anything like that. However, they are there to help you with whatever challenges you're dealing with. Now, my role is I'm looking for individuals that are either seasoned in the game or not seasoned, like you said, looking for a home, looking for a fresh start. You know, this pandemic has really shown us that we have to be very creative, and we have to make sure that whatever we're doing from a virtual standpoint, that our businesses has to be pandemic proof, has to be, whatever. If we're forced to do things virtually, then you have to be able to have something that you can market, you can sell, you can build virtually, and still have income being generated, so that your lifestyle is not disrupted. I think many people were caught off guard by that, especially for those individuals that did not have a platform or they didn't have an infrastructure in place to continue the continuity of their business. And so if you're looking for a new home, a brand new company, this possibly could be a great fit for you, where the compensation plan is really good, products are fantastic, and you have direct access to leadership that can help you in every aspect of you building your business without any unnecessary, drama or anything like that. This is a drama-free company, drama-free zone, and you'll have all the resources and the support that you need to help you explode your team and grow your business, whether you want to do it part-time or full-time. So you can reach me directly. If you're on Instagram, you can find me at Mr. Johnnie Davis, JOHNNIE, all lowercase letters on Instagram. Or if you're on Facebook, you can inbox me on Messenger at Johnnie Davis, JOHNNIE. And I have to specify that because if you do it with a Y, you won't find me.
Yeah, that's not him.
Right.
So, but it's been a pleasing pleasure, talking to you this evening, and I hate that it took us this long to really have this conversation. I'm just gonna be real with you, and just based on our conversation that we had earlier, one-on-one, you've actually impacted me to do some different things in my life that I'm not doing, have not been doing, and have questioned if I want to do. And you've given me a lot more clarity, and I appreciate that from you. And then, of course, having you to come on the Relentless Movers podcast here, and of course, talk about your story. And again, it's so similar. It's crazy. I mean, so many parts of your story, I'm just sitting there like, man, it's like deja vu, And so, again, you've inspired me, and I look forward to doing some amazing things. And I definitely look forward to being able to reach out to you a little bit more to, help and structuring where I need to go next. Absolutely. To help more people, right? To get the story out there. So again, we appreciate you, sir. Thank you. So here's what I want you to do again. As we go ahead and close this thing out, when you get a chance, once we're done, definitely go into the comment section, put the website links on there. Again, you can put your Instagram on there as well. So that way, if they want to reach you there, they can reach you there. If they want to reach you on Facebook, great. But again, we just want to make sure they can reach you. So again, thank you so much, sir. And as we always do when we close this thing out, we want to give you the last couple minutes to really just talk to people about what should you be doing 2021. What should you be doing going forward? What would you do if you had to start over? What would you do if you wanted to add more to what you currently have? So again, what does Johnnie Davis say that people should be working on right now in 2021?
Well, first, you definitely want to work on your mindset, because there's a lot of people that are not functioning in the right headspace. And if you're not functioning in the right headspace, whatever it is that you want to do from a business perspective, you won't achieve it. So you got to get your mind right. You know, us being confined, being home, and being surrounded by so much negativity. We see all these crazy things happening. The country is divided, and it's just we're all in this weird space right now. So you want to work on your mindset, your mental health, and make sure that you're okay. Number two, you want to come up with your serious game plan in terms of creating wealth. And this is something that I really talk about as well, because we're at a stage right now in our history, in our country, where, and this has been going on for a while, but the division, the wealth disparity is so in your face right now. The have and have nots. The middle class is being phased out and has been phased out over the past decade, but it's now becoming that much more apparent. Whatever you're doing, you want to position yourself for wealth, And you also want to identify a mentor, a person that can help you based on your goals. You're going to choose your mentor based on your goals. Whatever your goals are, identify that individual that can help you get to exactly where you want to go, and condense that time frame as fast as you possibly can. Because the one mistake that people tend to make is they think that they have all the time in the world, and you don't. You don't have much. You do not have as much time as you think you do. Things can happen just like that. Just like that. So you have to work as though each day is your last, because one of those days you're going to be right.
Good stuff. Johnnie Davis. So let's go ahead and close it out, guys. And of course, what is the Relentless Movers podcast all about? We have struggling entrepreneurs and individuals by curating tools and a custom roadmap to gain more clarity and real-time success. And so again, with that, it's been a plum pleasing pleasure. I look forward to see you guys at the top, from the top, over the top. Take care, take charge, and we'll talk to you soon. All right. I'm just waiting for this thing to clear.